On the road to Jerusalem, whispers of a story began to circulate, one that had traveled far across deserts and mountains, through temples and hidden valleys. It was a story of Jesus, but not the one most people knew. This story was not about his teachings in the hills of Galilee, or the miracles he performed by the Sea of Galilee. Instead, it was a story of what might have happened during those missing years of his life, from ages 12 to 30. Years that have been left largely unrecorded in the scriptures. According to the tale, Jesus might have traveled far east, even as far as India, to study under the wise sages and mystics of ancient Eastern traditions. In his early years, Jesus had shown a curiosity for the world, a thirst for understanding that often surprised those around him. As a boy, he amazed the rabbis with his wisdom in the temple. Yet there was something that called him beyond the familiar. It was said that at the age of 12, after his visit to Jerusalem, he felt a pull to explore knowledge that could not be found within the small village of Nazareth, or even in all of Judea. Perhaps he sensed there was more to life, more to the nature of existence, than what he had seen in his homeland. The story goes that, in his late teens or early 20s, he embarked on a journey eastward, crossing through lands that were unknown to most of his people. He traveled as a seeker, dressed as a humble wanderer, relying on the kindness of strangers for food and shelter. His journey took him across parched deserts, over rugged mountains, and along the silk and spice routes that led to the ancient lands of India. As Jesus entered India, he was welcomed by holy men, sages, and seekers who gathered along the sacred rivers and in mountain ashrams. Some legends suggest that he studied the ancient Vedas, texts that spoke of Brahman, the ultimate reality, and the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Here, he learned about Dharma, karma, and the soul's journey toward enlightenment. He listened to teachings on meditation and asceticism, practiced breath control and inner awareness, and spent hours in silence, communing with the divine within. In the city of Varanasi, a center of spiritual learning on the banks of the Ganges, Jesus was said to have met a guru who taught him the principle of ahimsa, or non-violence, as the highest form of love. The guru taught him that true peace comes from within, from seeing God in all beings, and from offering unconditional love to everyone. Teachings that would resonate deeply with Jesus and shape his own message of compassion. Jesus was captivated by the idea of transcending the ego, of seeing beyond the physical world to the underlying unity of all life. He practiced meditative disciplines that helped him connect with the divine source within himself, the same source that connected all living things. Some stories claim he even reached a state of enlightenment, an experience of complete oneness with God. It was a realization that would later inspire his teachings of unity and love, and his belief that the kingdom of God is within you. As he traveled deeper into the land, Jesus encountered Buddhists who followed the teachings of the Buddha. They taught him the practice of compassion, not just as a sentiment, but as a way of life. From these monks, he learned that true compassion was an active force, a transformative power that could alleviate suffering and bring joy to the hearts of others. Jesus embraced this idea, and it would become a cornerstone of his own teachings, later inspiring his parables of forgiveness, charity, and love for one's enemies. Years passed, and as he neared the end of his journey in the East, Jesus had gained a profound understanding of spirituality that was both universal and deeply personal. He had seen how the teachings of India and the East, with their focus on inner transformation, mirrored his own beliefs about the nature of God and the soul. With a heart and mind now full of wisdom and compassion, he felt the call to return to his homeland. When Jesus eventually returned to the Holy Land, he brought with him the essence of the teachings he had learned. He shared the importance of loving one's neighbor, of turning the other cheek, of finding peace within oneself. But he shared these ideas not as foreign concepts, but as universal truths, as insights that sprang from a divine source common to all humankind. Those who met him sensed something different about this rabbi, something that went beyond mere words. It was as if he carried within him an ancient wisdom, a light that drew people in, illuminating the darkest corners of their hearts. Perhaps in those hidden years, Jesus had journeyed to the East to deepen his understanding, to learn what he would one day share with the world. That the kingdom of God is not bound by borders or traditions, but is a universal truth that lives in the heart of every soul.